Hi, JMB. Good morning. How are you doing? Monday. It's a brand new week. Forward to that. Hey, great through FX. Long nickname. Morning. Hope you're well. Hey, Vel. Hey, Ishmael. Good morning, Karsten. How are you doing? Hi, Ismet. Hey, BL. Good to see everyone again. Hey, Minal. Hope you're all well. Everyone's here pretty much on time, nice and early. So hope you're all doing well. I guess one thing is that we're not seeing a lot of distraction currently on the markets. I think it is setting up for some big moves for this week. Surin says it's raining so heavily outside. Maybe that's why everyone's on the stream. So hope it rains all the time, keeps everyone indoors, keep them onto the street. This street. Good to have you all. Yeah, so it is raining very heavily in Singapore. What about in your neck of the woods? How is it? Good morning. Good day, Nick. How are you doing? A couple of moments before we get started. Thank you all for joining me on this daily market analysis. Very overcast here in London. Isn't it always? Isn't it always? That's one reason why I like it that much. Hey, Informal Star. Hi, how are you doing? Get a couple, one more minutes before we get started. Carsten, where are you again? Looks like it's raining everywhere. Overcast in London, it's raining in Singapore, it's rainy where Carsten is. Global rain. Alrighty. We're not here to talk about the weather. It's not the daily weather forecast. Or Carsten's in France. It's not the daily weather forecast. It is the daily market analysis. So it is good to have you guys here with me again, starting the week right. We'll be looking at the fundamentals of what's coming up. Not much happened over the weekend or ending of last week. We'll do a quick review of that. We'll look at the fundamentals in terms of what's coming up. Price hasn't moved too much this morning, afternoon. So we'll look at that possibly breaking off its consolidation. Then we'll look for some possible trade setups. If you are new to the session, do drop a message, say hi. A lot of you have done that. Drop a message, say hi, let me know where you're joining us from. Let me know if it's raining at where you are. Okay. And if you can help me out, click that like and subscribe button. Whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on TradingView, whether you're on trading.live, help me out. Click that like and subscribe button just so that we get more people onto the session. And the link is there. If you haven't already, do join the Discord channel. We've got a really nice community where we share trade ideas. We talk about what's happening, who's getting into a trade, who's not getting into a trade, and why we're getting out of trades as well. Right, so it's all happening there on the Discord channel. can take our discussions beyond this daily market analysis Discord. In the channel as well, you will see a link where you can have a one-to-one coaching with me so that I can dedicate time to help you with your trading journey on a one-to-one basis. So make sure you do that. And at any point in time, if you have a question, please feel free to put it into the chat. Let me know. Any particular pairs you'd like me to look at, put it into the chat and let me know. Okay? So with that, let's get started. Before we jump into the disclaimer, just a quick hello to Angel Case. How are you doing? And Farm, hi, how are you doing? PM, AYJ, Ahmed, all here. Good, the regular team is here. So let's get into the disclaimer. Any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. The contents of this webinar is not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product, so please do your own due diligence. Your objectives, financial situation, and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. Okay, so I will be looking at trade setups, possible trade setups on the H1 time frame. And that's just the watch list, sharing with you my watch list, sharing with you my thought process on which pairs I'm looking at. So if you do have any questions, do put it into the chat. Let me know. Someone said, could you please speak more loudly? I'm pretty much shouting. I'm actually shouting a bit too much, overexcited on the stream right now. So if you guys can hear me, if everyone else can hear me all right, let me know. If not, then you might want to tune up on your volume a little bit. All right, how's the sound going? Sounding all right? Let me know, how's it sounding? Just check on my settings. I'm maxed out on the microphone, so sound is okay from Vel and Ahmed. All right, thank you so much. So TJ348, tune it up. It's worth tuning it up. Let me drown out all the other sound around you. All right. Hey, I am blessed. How are you doing? Thank you. All right, let's get going. So look at that. How disappointing is this for a Monday, for a start of the week? We have got three news items. Kiwi, Business, NZ Services Index, not doing too much. Visitor arrivals, we don't care about that too much or at all. German WPI, what's WPI? Price of goods sold by wholesalers, again, not too concerned about that. So not a lot of news for today, which also translates to why we've been seeing price like the dollar sitting right in that consolidation, not doing too much, right? It was in the morning, right there, sitting at 102.85, spiked up, now retracing back down, hasn't done too much so far. Okay, so not a lot to be super excited about for today, but I do see this as a good opportunity for some breakout potentials, which I'll share with you shortly. Rewinding back onto Friday, right? Since we spoke about that already. 8:30 p.m. GMT plus 8 on Friday, we did see the core PPI and PPI month to month being released. It was a 0.1, got revised downwards to 0. Expected a 0.2, came out at 0.3%. Same with core PPI, came out at a 0.3%. Forecast was 0.2. It was 0.1, got revised down to minus 0.1. This did not, it did have some impact on the dollar, but we didn't see, we saw the movements not so much because of the PPI, but just in the overall trend. Okay, you can see at 8:30 p.m. with dollar index, this was at 8:30, 8 o'clock here. Right, we did see it bounce off. I wouldn't attribute this move to the upside because of the PPI number. I would say that is more bouncing off that 23.6 level towards ended the session at about 102.80 as we kind of expected, and then it broke through a little bit more to the upside. Okay, so again, not much happened on Friday. It was more a technical move, not so much because of the fundamental drivers. So with that, what else do we have coming up? Good morning, Goju. How are you doing? Hey, Lee Frank. Watch out for tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. GMT +8. We do have the Aussie Monetary Policy Meeting minutes from the RBA to be released. Wage price index quarter on quarter, more increase from a 0.8 to a 0.9 expected. I think that I don't expect any big surprises on the meeting minutes. It doesn't usually have a big impact on price, but the wage price index indicating some increase, potentially some increase in wage inflation might cause overall inflation growth in Australia to scale up a little bit, but you can see last month they were expecting that it's 0.8. I think we're likely to see this as not a big change, so I'm not too concerned about this. Okay, I still look at the Aussie as a potential further downside potential on the Aussie. I'll show you that shortly. Hey Desiree, how are you doing? Hey Kelvin. And then tomorrow 2 p.m. before our stream, we do have the pound or the UK claimant count change expected. A little bit surprising that we're not seeing a forecast number being released. 25.7k. I don't think it will do too much. I think it's going to stay about the same. All right. Also, with unemployment rate likely to stay the same. So, Angel K's shocked me a little bit this afternoon where she was like, hey, what's the view on the UK data to be released? Not today, it's tomorrow. So I'm not expecting a big change here either. All right, so we could see the pound dollar spike a little bit to the upside, I think. But it all depends on what's going to happen on the dollar index for now. And then on to tomorrow as well, we do have the CPI to be released, but I'll tell you that during our market analysis tomorrow. So pretty much clear skies, not outside, but in here for the trades. In consolidation, mostly in consolidation, looking for some breakout potential. So now looking at the charts. Dollar index. Just checking this top level is what we saw on the 7th of July. Thanks for that, BL. At payment count is expected at minus 0.3. Why am I not getting that number? You're not getting number. Okay, minus 7.3k. I don't think it'd be a minus 7.3. I think that it'd be that 20 something number. I think it'd be that 20 something number. So might not be a. Let me think about that. I'll come to that when we look at the pound dollar. Okay. So I'm just checking the lines here. We can catch a top level at 103, almost 103.20 on the dollar index. Did not retrace as much as we thought, but it did climb up towards that 102.80 level. Went as high as 103, for now retracing back down. Okay, so for today being the 14th of August, almost to the midweek of mid-month. Right now I'm looking at this, dragging that up. We have our 50% here, which stays. Thanks for that, Frank. Okay. At this point, percent is there, 23.6 is there, which is that resistance turned support level. I'm happy with that. What we are possibly going to see, I want to see this come down and test the support level, but overall still trending to the upside. Yellow box is getting my way. Overall still trending to the upside. Okay. What I would anticipate is it's already on the way down right now as we are speaking about the dollar index. So likely to come back down, test this level for possibly bouncing back up. All right, I'm still looking at it following the trend to the upside. No reason why we should see the dollar index weaken significantly. So I think it'll come down, test the support, maybe a fake break down towards that 23.6 level. Could it get down to 38.2? Unlikely. Take that away. So I think it'll come down to about 23.6, test this area, and then bounce back up again. Okay. So what I'm looking for here on a dollar index is same thing, right? Complete its retracement. Looking for it to complete retracement to 102.70. 102.73, but I would say 102.70. Then bounce off to retest 103.20. Okay. So I'm just looking at it again. Could retrace, test this level, bounce back up. I wouldn't even be surprised if it consolidates along this support again. But I think that with the way everything else is moving, right? It's all rebounding off a level. So I anticipate that this is going to come down, test, bounce, most likely going to bounce back up, continuing on with the existing trend. Okay, so it might not be driven this strength back, right? The retracement we know is because it's scaled up, now it needs to retrace a little bit. But that rebound back up might not be because of the dollar strength. This rebound back up might be because of the other currencies losing ground, weakening against the dollar. Okay, so I'm looking for it to complete its retracement to 102.70. Then retest, rebound to test, rebound, test 103.20. Okay, I'm happy with that. Put in 38 point. Oh, I don't get to 30. I think it will either get any lower than 23.6 would be along this point here, 102.5. Within this range, I think it could come down to within this range for scaling up again to retest. Okay, now with that said, anticipating some downside, some retracement on the dollar index before the strength, that is going to paint our bias across the other currency pairs. With no major news on the horizon, apart from the Aussie tomorrow morning, we look at the Kiwi dollar. Right, on Friday, we were saying that we're looking for it to rebound strongly, turn lower. It did turn lower, but did not rebound as strongly as we thought. So take all of that away. Look at this. this is why I think that it's going to rebound. It's going to retrace but continue on with the trend. It's because looking at this, the Kiwi dollar could come up towards this support turned resistance level and turn back down, right? Which coincides nicely with this 23.6 retracement. So in this case, what I would be looking for is a retest and a turn back down. Question now is how far is my next support level? I do have a level at 0.5850, but just checking back. Sorry, this could be looking at we could have a level about 50% of this here. Okay, so just as a bit of a guiding level, 590. So back to the present, what I'll be looking for is a retrace, a rejection of this support turned resistance level, then looking to sell it down towards 5920. What I will be looking for is about 598, below 5980. Take profit 60 pips to the downside, almost 60 pips to the downside. Stop loss can be very tight, no more than 20 pips. Right, no more than 20 pips, because what I'm looking for is a rejection and a reaction at that resistance level. So it could break up, right? If it doesn't do that, let's show you an example. It could do a bigger push beyond and back down. I'm only looking to sell once it comes back down through that resistance level. Okay, so 5980, 60 pip take profit, 20 pip stop loss. I would invalidate the idea if it goes past that 38.2 or that 0.0120 level. So this is the point where I would say that maybe I won't be looking for a sell anymore. If it goes past that, up there, then you might update you on something else, but goes within this region and turns back down, then I'll be looking for that downside potential on the Kiwi dollar. Okay, I'm happy with that. So 5980, 20 pip stop, take profit. Sell 0.5980, stop loss 20, take profit. There we have it. The downside. Okay, still retracing on the dollar index, that's fine. So far so good. Let me know if it's all good for you guys. The Aussie dollar did not bounce. It broke through that support level, so that trade was not triggered. Very similar move on the Aussie, but you can see that the Aussie has reacted very strongly to this support level at 6465, which is what we saw on the 31st of May, right, where it reacted very strongly off this point. So because of that, I would be a little bit more hesitant. Despite the downtrend, I'll be a little bit more hesitant to sell the Aussie down. Right? I would be looking at that. Okay, no. Check my line. Big downward push. Bring this point, I'll cover that. Okay, so I'm looking at this as that 50% level. looking for this to bounce. I don't see a chance of a reaction here. Looks like a strong bounce. What I'll be looking for on the Aussie would be for it to push up towards, if possible, push up towards this 0.6530 level. I think it's a little bit unlikely, but if it comes up to this point, I'll be 38 point there. I don't like 32. Take that away. I think at this point, okay, so I would be looking at how I plan it. How I plan my idea would be, Kiwi dollar looks like it's got a little bit of space to move before we could see a rejection. Aussie dollar, I would go for a little bit more. So it could, one idea is that it could come up to that 23.6 level, right? That previous low, a bit of a swing level there. It could come up to here and turn back down. If I was looking to do this, then selling at this point, stop loss 15, 10, 15 pips, take profit towards that support level 20 to 25 to 30 pips. It's a very tight move, right? So I would prefer the Kiwi dollar than the Aussie at this point. So if that does happen, that's fair enough, but I would actually then look to see whether it'll come up to this resistance and turn back down. This might take a lot longer to play out, but at least I will have the Kiwi dollar for the shorter term. Then the Aussie dollar, which could take a bit longer, a rejection of 6530, so 6520, stop loss 20 pips, take profit down 50, even down to that previous low of 60 pips would be reasonable, right? So this would be a longer, a deeper retrace, a higher retrace to the upside, while Kiwi dollar might be a brief, more retrace to the upside. So that's how I would so-called schedule the different trades, something that can happen faster, that's something that would take a little bit longer to develop. So that's my Aussie dollar idea. 6520, 20 pips. So sell 0.6520, stop loss 20, profit 60. Okay, I think that this one would be a quicker setup. This one I think might be longer setup. That's the plan, right? It could very well just go very quickly on the Aussie as well, but we have that setup ready just in case. Okay, just because of that space it needs to cover, I think it's going to take a little bit longer. Then on to the yen. Look at that. Big upside. We were looking for it to test that trend line. It did come down, test that trend line. It did push up towards that 145 level, but failed to close above 145.20. Did not trigger the trade up to that, well into that intervention zone. All right, I'm just naming it intervention zone between 145 and 146.50. As it sits along this point, right? As it sits along this point, could take that away, right? It's not so relevant at this level. As it consolidates here, anticipation is that there's a lot of talk, right? I'll show you here. There's a lot of talk about how yen is at this year's low. Breach, yet BOJ intervention seems unlikely. 145 breach, but yet intervention seems unlikely. The talk about intervention is increasing. right? So I'm hard to rule out the chance of an intervention. What I'm thinking here is that if you want to set up case of an intervention, this could be a big move, right? So set up for it, I would say 144.45. Stop loss could be a big 70, 60 pip to the stop loss, a good 120, 140 pips to the downside, right? I'm looking at this as if it breaks below this point, 144.50. The risk of setting up for an intervention is that you see a lot of tails, right? You see that come down and trigger, you see that shooting down. So the risk is that you might come down, trigger a trade. If you send an order, it might come down, trigger a trade, and bounce back up. So just be careful with that as it consolidates. Okay, those of you who are a little bit more risk taking could even set up a little bit higher up at 144.70. Right, so I think safer in terms of trying to catch that. In terms of trying to catch that intervention, I would say 144.50, 144.45. However, that's still retracing. We're looking for it to bounce back up. I would be thinking that we might still another push upside. Might still see another push upside on the yen. Okay, so what I would do here is I would size down on this possible intervention. So 144.40, I'll have that as a something pending left there. But in the shorter term, I would be looking for, unless we hear something crazy about 145.25 again, stop loss 30 pips, take profit 60 pips. I'll do a 1:2 just to maintain some upside potential. Okay. Yeah, it's right at that point. Right at that point, looking at this as possibly pushing higher, but we're setting up just in case that intervention comes up. Okay. So I'll be looking at this for 145.25, 30 pip to 65. Stop loss 30, take profits 60. But for pending the intervention, we're looking at sell at 144.45, stop loss 30, take profit 140. If my memory serves me well. 44.40, stop loss 60, take profit 140. So 60, so it's quite wide, that's why I would size it down. Alrighty. So, I would be looking to still trade it up if it does break to the upside, but I would be setting up in case we see an intervention, we try and catch that move lower. AL has a question. I noticed you don't use moving average to 20, 50 day. Is there any specific reason? No specific reason apart from being not something that I use. It's just not part of my habit that I use that. Jordan has a reply with just a different method of analysis. I use fib retracement and regression on trend. Yeah, so it's not a specific reason why I left it out. I initially only used support resistance, right? I started off with only support resistance, did well with just support resistance. Then I started adding trend lines into it. Then I started adding retracement levels into it just to look for the in-between levels. Then with all that, don't feel a need to add the moving averages. It does tend to coincide with a lot of things, the support levels, the trend lines, and the fib levels as well. And then also another reason why is that I try to keep it a little bit simpler during this live stream session, just so that we're not over complicating with analysis. I try to keep the analysis simple, so that it's easier to replicate for a lot of other people, for everyone else watching. That makes sense, right? Because when you have too many things, then for example, like harmonics and Elliott wave, which I don't know, then sometimes if someone tries to replicate the analysis, there's too many things that could go wrong. So I try to keep it very simple, just so that I give you the basis of the analysis. You guys can try and replicate. Alrighty, super. I think simpler is better. A lot of indicators can not only contradict each other, but convolute ideas quickly. Exactly. And the thing about indicators is you shouldn't use the indicators to really tell you whether to buy or sell. Use the indicators as an indicator. It just should translate to you a chance to buy or a chance to sell. Then all the analysis before that, before looking at the indicator, should give you that bias as well. Okay, so you want to form a whole confluence with analysis and then indicate, not indicate. Wow, that was a whole digression, but I hope it helps you, AL, and thanks for that, Jordan. Hey, Lainey, how are you doing? So with that, we have done US yen. Then looking at the pound dollar. So this expected this to push up. It came up slightly. We were looking to buy 127.30. Came up to 127.33 before coming back down, right? Could have triggered a trade here. I didn't. Let me know if you guys did. This was at the 7 o'clock time, so you wouldn't have, because you do know that there's a news coming out 8:30 on that Friday. Now that it's come back down, bouncing off that trend line, which refining it, you could even see it at that levels there, right? So bouncing off the trend line, I would say that that's a bit go up to there right now. I wouldn't be too keen on the pound dollar at point, right? Why I wouldn't be too keen on the pound dollar? Because I do know a couple of you, I can imagine the names here. I do know a couple of you who would be looking to buy it up. Good 40 pips to the upside, stop loss, maybe 20 pips at this point. You could trade it up. Can happen. Does need a bit of management to trade that up towards that previous swing high. All right. But I'm looking at this as a brief retracement before pushing higher again. So if we do see that, it could come up to this point and turn back down. It could just miss a take profit before turning back down as well. So what I would like, in fact, to see on a pound dollar, understanding that it's within that range, still within that range, I would like to see what happens if price goes up to here. Would it turn back down? Right? If it does, then I could be looking to sell down, similar to what happened on Friday, 1.2725, 20 pip stop loss, 40 pip take profit back down. right? Why I would prefer this downward move rather than try and trade it up is because, you know, the dollar index is on that big upward push, now retracing. So I'm looking for that dollar strength to come back in. Okay, so that, and if it breaks above this point without retracing, then we'll look for a reaction along that next level up here, which actually more specifically is about 1.279. Okay, so we have two chances to sell, 1.2725 or 1.275. That's the first one I'll be looking for. So fantastic, Bill. Okay, Bill just said that's exactly what I'm looking for as well. So good that we're aligned. So 1.2725, 20 pip to 50. Okay, I would be looking to sell 1.2725, top loss 20, profit 50. Looking for that dollar strength to push it back down. Right now, retracing would push the pound dollar up. I'd like to see that. Then look for the dollar strength to come back into play to push the pound dollar back down again. Hi, Shaker, how are you doing? So with that, then euro dollar. I was super happy with this. All right. So euro dollar, we were looking to sell this down, breaking that trend line, right? Breaking that trend line at 1.0990. So this was that move that we saw, right? This was during our call at 3, broke down, and then the news came out, broke lower. I caught this move to the downside through the weekend. So it was down to this level. Didn't manage to close out my trade. Totally forgot about it. Then I thought I'll close it out tomorrow Monday morning. Monday morning came in, it went down and hit my take profit. So super happy about that. And what you'll notice is that it was also at that equal low here, right? So very fortunate on the euro dollar. Now that it's come down, hit that, gone past that equal low, grabbed some liquidity, as you would say, now bouncing back up again. Okay, so we'll take that away. That was a good 55 pip move to the downside, breaking that trend line. So take away. Now that it's done that, what I would be looking for here further retrace. Right? Not going to do anything, not looking to buy it up, following on with that trend. Might come up to this point, might go all the way up before turning back down again. Put a line there again. Euro dollar, still looking at that downward move on the euro dollar, but you see that it has been in this zone, this range, for a relatively long time. Right, that 50% level holding. Have this bottom, so I would see this. Those of you who would like to do a bit of counter trend, you could look to buy this up, but I would wait it out. I would wait to see whether the euro dollar, clicking a lot of things, I think that it would come to this range. I think it's going to bounce back up to around here for turning back down again. As high as almost 1.1. I think it'll stay. If it stays, okay, I'll be looking for downside potential on the euro dollar. If it stays below 1.1, breaks past, then the next level there, but we're looking to sell below 1.1. Right? Just say something, but okay, never mind. So I'll be looking to sell this down 1.0990, 1.097. You have a good 50 pip to the downside here. Could do that at 25 pips. Stop loss, 50 pip take. So you would have either that, or you would have 1.0990, stop loss 20 pips, take profit 65. So there are about two levels that you could get into the trade here on the euro dollar. I'll highlight the higher level. Okay, so what I'll be looking for is anywhere within that range you could be looking to sell down, but I anticipate that we might see this trade up, test back down. Might not go as high, but that's what I'll be looking for. If it's earlier, then we'll update you in the if it's earlier and I see it happen, then I'll update you in the Discord channel. So do make sure you join the channel. Okay. So 1.0990, stop loss 20, take profit 65. 0.0990, stop loss 20. Same trade. Same trade set. Happy with that? Okay, I'll be happy with that. You could also be either that, or you could be looking at a level like that as well. 1.0975, stop loss will be tight. 20 pips, 25 pips, take profit will be down about. So either way, if it's a deep retrace or not, there are two setups there. Okay. Next up, any questions so far? Is it all good? Put it into the chat. Let me know if you've got a question. If you don't have a question, put it in chat and say no questions. Just so that I know that you guys are all still around. Works. Okay, US Swiss franc, we were talking about this on Friday. I was looking for it to turn down, bounce off that trend line, push up towards that resistance for selling back down. We got the first part right. Where it did come down, test that resistance, bounce. Didn't happen on the second part. Didn't climb as high as we expected. So I'll take that away. Okay, so that trade did not trigger, unfortunately. It did find 8775, 780 as that pre-resistance interim level. Now, this is going to form quite interestingly, okay, because we could see this come down, very similar move, come down, test, bounce back up. That range is getting more and more narrow. Dollar index retracing, should see this push down a little bit. Again, could be looking to buy this up at 40 pips, tight, and 20 pips, stop loss. Why I'm hesitating is because I'm just considering the chance that the US Swiss franc would break above this 8780 level. Right? I'm just thinking of the chance that it will break above this level to make this trade. If it doesn't break above, then it's not worth. It's 20 pips or 20 pips. Not worth that move. Okay, so this one I would say that you could get into this trade, just that It's a little bit of a higher risk. It's a little bit more speculative because we are looking for it to break through, to bounce and break through that level which held since the 4th of August. Right, the last 10 days has held this level. We're looking for it to break the upside. Okay. But because it is a relatively tight stop loss, I think that that could be worth testing. Okay, so I see your question on pound yen and the Nasdaq 100. We'll do that. So 8760 stop loss 50, take profit 40. Good look to find this 0.8760. Yep. So rebound 60 and then stop loss, take profit 40. Back towards that resistance level. Ideally, yes, to the resistance, we could look to sell it down again, but that's the next part of the move. We'll discuss that later on. That move. I wanted to cover my. Okay. Then onto the US CAD. It did come down, right? So we were looking for it to test and turn down. I did not get into this trade, unfortunately. Let me know if you did get into this onto the US CAD. Right, that worked out quite nicely. And also what you'll notice here is that I posted this early this morning. Right, look at that point. We have the, what pattern is this? Looks like a smiley face. Smiley face, but it's not. Right, it's a head and shoulder. We have an inverted head and shoulder here. Right? Quite a lag before. Might be a lag in terms of might be a lag in terms of how it shows up, or might also be because I have the questions on the messages on one side, then the screen on the other side, so I might not have caught them straight away. All right, bear with me there. Okay, so on the US CAD, what I'm looking at here, it's although we have the inverted head and shoulder on slow mode. What's slow mode? Tell me. Jordan, just DM me and tell me what's slow mode. Might be something that I have to sort out. Okay. So there was the inverted head and shoulder, but wasn't very clear neckline, right? So we have that inverted head and shoulder there, but the neckline would have been a bit of a diagonal line like that, which I don't really like. It doesn't really fit well. I wouldn't do this just because of that pattern. It's reacting to that 1.3460 level. Look at the dollar, tracing quite strongly. See this getting pushed down a little bit by the dollar. Holding it up. We could consider the chance that the dollar doesn't bounce and continues to the downside. Then if it does break past this point, breaks below that trend line, could be looking at 1.34440. Stop loss 25 pips. For that to break, then take profit, go down to 5, down towards that support level. That would 23.6, breaking that trend line as well. So I think that's fair. Okay, So this is an alternate view if we don't see that dollar strength come back in play. So 1.3440, stop loss 25, take profit 50. 440, stop loss 5, take profit 5. Very deep retracement on the dollar. Check some. Yen is still sitting there. Big news. No big reason why. This looks like a technical retrace. Dollar looking for the hour to close. Still well within Bollinger. It could come back down to this point and bounce. Okay, so we'll just leave that. This is still somewhat on plan. Then on to gold. Right, we saw this test came down towards the support at 1913. We were talking about retrace higher slightly, but consolidate along 1913. Done that exactly. I went up, test, came down, consolidated along 1913. Right now, as we see the dollar retrace deeply, we see this bouncing back up towards that trend line, right? Could, zoom right out, could be looking for a possible break of that trend line. Hey Diana, super late, but it's recorded, it's here, so you can always rewatch it again. I'm looking at this breaking up. I wouldn't tell you to be buying it up, right? I wouldn't be looking to buy it up despite the reaction along the trend line, despite the reaction along that support level. What I would say is that I would be looking for a reaction along 1918, 1920, in 1920 before a back down towards 1918 before back down towards that 1913 or 1912 level. I'll do that. So on gold, retracing back now already, but I think it'll get to 1918, so coming down to 1912. Okay, I will be looking for it to retrace to 1918 for trading down to 1912 again. What area? Okay, there we have it. That's the watch list for today. Then onto your question on the pound yen. Right, pound yen, we were looking for it to bounce off again, very similar, did not trigger. It is at a very significant level, right? Major high at this level, so be very careful. Trend line down to this point still works. I see it as a of consolidation. That's pushing higher. Right? Pound dollar is pushing higher. US yen is still consolidating, showing some downside potential. I think that's going to be offset. Same thing as the US yen. I think that I would prime this for some intervention. So I think this could come up to this point. I'll be looking to sell down. Big counter trend move. This is massively counter trend. So super careful about this. Size it down. A lot more considerations, but I'll be looking for it to break, come up, test around this area. Right, I'll see come up, test around this area, retrace back down, then I'll look to sell. I were to sell this down, I'll be looking at 183.80. 183.80. 30 pip stop loss. 60 pip take. If that does retrace, then you could even go further down to 120 to the downside. Okay, so that would be the first move with potential for further downside again, because we're looking at this level as that's holding. So, yep, that makes sense. Hope that makes sense for you, PM, on the pound yen. Thank you, Faith FX. You have a lovely day too. Then with that, looking at back 100, don't usually like to do this on a H1 time frame, on a H4. Looking at this, you guys know that I don't really look at this. Big resistance up here. Here a daily, big uptrend. Holding. Point is my big support here. 4 time frame, I like that. So I would see it coming down towards the support. Quite a big drop, not big, but a significant retrace down. Okay, no. You see this point here, so it's reacting along this level at 1520, about 1520, about 1500. 1,000. See a reaction here. If this breaks, this level breaks, then we could see it trade down towards support. But I anticipate that, I was going to say that I anticipate we could see it push up. Could see it push up. Try that one. I was just thinking that it looks a bit odd as well. Ah, okay. Wondering why there were so many gaps on that. But you know, same view. It's the same. Apart from the lesser gaps, makes it a lot easier to look at. Still that same idea that holds. At this, I see a small why I see a small retrace is because that dollar is retracing, right? So as that pushes slightly to the downside, or now forming a bit of finding that support there, right? Looking might break down, then this is going to push higher. But with that overall move to the downside, it possibly reacting along this point, test lower again. I think that would have to test 14,700 before we're going to see it bounce back up. Looking at no trend line, no big trend lines there. And what I would say is that we do have a bit of a channel to that downside. So I'm looking for a test or pushing back down. All right. Hope I answered your question there, AYJ and Desiree. Looking for it to test that 23.6, which is also the top of that channel, before pushing back down to that bottom of the channel, which will coincide with that support at 14,700. I'm still watching this. So a lot of the trades that we've just been talking about, It's not ready yet. We are looking at the retracements. Doesn't need to complete. Just needs to see what happens on the dollar. It could very well bounce off 102.80, but the way I look at it, it might seem a little bit early to tell, but might seem a little bit more of a retrace. Might see a little bit of a retrace before pushing up again. Shane, I did look at gold. Gold. Thank you, Nick. Welcome. Gold, I am looking for it to retrace towards that 1918 level, break past that trend line, retrace a little bit before turning back down, especially if we see that dollar strength come back into. Greetings from Albania. I think my first person I have viewing from Albania. Good to have you. What do I think about the euro pound? Well, looking at the pound dollar, possibly pushing or needs develop, but looks like it could push up. Euro dollar again could push up, but we're still looking for the downside potential. So on the euro pound, I would say that my lines looks odd. Let's clear out this. Then on the euro pound, I would say anticipating that the pound dollar could push up, that would push the euro pound down. Euro dollar could go up. And so it just bounced off 61.8. You have a good resistance here. And from a good support level here. So I would say that this point, pound dollar could go up, but euro dollar we're looking at more downside. So I'm still thinking that we're going to see it. I need it to break below this 0.8618 level, at 61.8, before we're going to see, could see it trade down towards 8589 or 8590 towards the support. Okay, and that's a good support because we have this point here as well. Beyond that, then the next big level would be at about 8550. Right, still looking at possibly that downside. Could it bounce further? Yes, especially if the pound dollar does not track up. If it does come down and break below this trend line, then we could see that bounce back up. But I think euro dollar pushing up. Okay, so euro pound could trade a little bit higher. If it does that, then could get up to, not as broken these levels, could get up to that point. Second, that could get up to that 50% level, broken this point, could get up to the level here. So could do this, come up here, test for turning back down again. I know it's a bad scribble, sorry. Which also coincides with these levels here. Okay, which coincides with levels here. That could work. Then, yeah, like that. I like that a lot more. What I'll tell you is that we could be looking for a selling opportunity. 8, 6, 8, 6, 3, 8. About there. Stop loss 10. Take profit. First one will be 20 pips. Go all the way down to that 50 pips to the downside. right? That for the euro pound. No news today, Diana. So news front, nothing much happening. Then in terms of the US CAD, again looking for it to break that trend line. This is on the consideration that we don't see the dollar strengthen back. We see it just breaking through all the way down, maybe towards that 50% level. And we could see this break down all the way down towards a support with some interim levels at 1.342. Alrighty. So again, if you haven't already, do join the Discord channel. I am, the link is there for the one-to-one coaching. I am fully booked out for this week, but new time slots will be released for next week. Just make sure you check consistently. If you haven't found a time that you that coincides with your own schedule, check back again. So there'll be a time where we can jump on a call one-to-one, and I can help you closer with your own trading journey. With that said, see you on Discord, and if not, I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, for our next daily market analysis. Take care now. Bye-bye.